And the fire was lit on nights like this during the ancient times of the Druids to keep the uglies and the ghoulies.
Well, it's Igor with some...
Igor has returned! Good evening, Igor.
I think so cold. I'd like you to fire.
Well, make yourself, you're always welcome.
Come in now and sit down by the fire. You'll be safe and you'll be warm and nothing will harm you. All the way around by the fire. I'm just a normal person. Come on now and sit down by the fire. Go all the way around the outside. Sit down. Safe, warm. Sit down on the outside of the fire now.
I'm looking for the smells of 18 years.
Sit down by the fire and safe and warm. Thank you now. Sit down by the fire. Safe and warm by the fire.
What is that?
Welcome. Welcome to our campfire. All a nice little cup of tea if we had it, but we don't. But what we can give you is comfort and friendship and a ring of fire that'll keep you safe from those ghouls and beasties and things that go bump in the night. Did they bother you coming up here? Well, listen, I want you to know you're safe and sound here by our campfire. None of them monsters is going to bother you by the campfire. And there's a couple of things we can do to make our fire even more powerful. To make our, pardon me, I got to sneeze. Thank you. So last time I did that, I went into orbit, but it's all right. But there's a couple of things we can do to make us even safer. Do any of you happen to have any kindling that you can add to the fire? Would you just come up and toss any wood that you have onto the fire, okay?
There you go.
You see what this does is this
Just
makes
throw it
the
in.
fire our fire, your fire and mine. You've shared in the fuel, so now you can share in the warmth and the flame and the heat. One more thing we can do, now that I promise you you're safe around the fire, is give a nice big sigh of relief. If we do that all together, it's going to feel so good. So on the count of 3, I'll put some Irish spices in the fire. You give a nice sigh of relief on 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that felt good to me, didn't it? Now listen, let me tell you, do you know why you're safe around the campfire from these monsters? Because they're afraid of the light. The ancient Irish people used to light campfires on Halloween. Halloween, you may not know, is the old Irish New Year. So when I say to you Happy New Year tonight, it's because it's the old Irish way. And on this night when the veil was thinnest between the world of the living and the world of the dead, the Irish people would light fires for safety and warmth and light. And those creatures and those ghoulies and those things that go bump out there in the night, they're afraid to come too close to the campfire, because if they get close to the fire, in all that light you'd see what they look like, and you'd discover they're nothing to be afraid of. They're not scary at all. They're just silly looking. And they don't want you to know that. So they want to stay away from this campfire, so you all think they're really scary and something, which they're not. So you're safe as safe can be now around our fire. You got nothing to worry about. Well,
You better be telling them about that.
I better be warning them about
They ought to know tonight.
They
The
should
whole-
know
the
before
whole
they
night,
move on.
the whole truth. This is the night I told you, when the veil is thin between the two worlds, and those who are not quite living and not quite dead. Well, Irish Jack is one of these people. Irish Jack was the meanest of the meanest people you ever did see. He was so mean.
How mean was he?
Oh, we can do better than that. Let's try it together. He was so mean.
How mean was he?
He was so mean that on Christmas Eve, he'd slide down the chimney and steal presents.
No.
He did. He did indeed. He'd go in when you wasn't looking and wash his face in your sink and dry his face on your pillowcase.
Oh!
He'd come into your house, he'd take your toothbrush and use it to brush the teeth of his dog. He was that mean, he was, but he was also a clever young fellow. He was a clever man, Irish Jack was. He was so clever. You remember the time there was that he tricked the devil himself?
Did that.
He did that.
He did, that's right. You heard about that. Let me tell these folks about it. Irish Jack was walking through the apple orchards, which used to be not too far from here. And he seen the devil himself snoozing under a tree. Irish Jack says, I'm going to pull one over on him. And he goes over and says, good morning, your worship. I'm sorry you're feeling so poorly. People says, what do you mean feeling so poorly? I've never felt better in my life. And the devil says, Jack says, but you don't look so well. You look like you're feeling pretty tired and old and tired. And the devil says, I'm as young as I've ever been. I'm fit as ever I've been. I can run faster than ever I ran. I can jump higher than ever I could jump. And Jack says, are you after telling me that you could be jumping up to the top of this apple tree and picking me that biggest, juiciest apple way up top? And the devil says, not only can I do it, but I will do it. And up he jumps all the way to the top of the tree. He grabs the apple and tosses it to Jack. But before he can come out of the tree, Jack quickens away, pulls a piece of chalk from his pocket, and puts the symbol of the ancient Irish Celtic cross on the tree. And the devil is so afraid of that symbol of good and power that he can't come down. He's trapped in the apple tree. He says, Jack, you gotta let me down. How can I be tempting people and making them come down to... He says, I can't be doing that if I'm up in the tree. And Jack says, well, I don't be caring, your worship. I'm off. I'm out of here. So off he goes, and the devil says, Jack, come back here. I'll make a deal with you. I'll do whatever you want if you let me out of this tree. So Jack thinks, and he says, all right, your worship. Here's the deal. If you promise that when I die, you won't be making me go down to, well, you know, the hot place, then I'll let you out of the tree. Well, the devil says, I got no choice in the matter. I guess I'll have to agree to it. So Jack wipes off the mark of the Celtic cross off of the tree, and down comes the devil, and off they go their separate ways. And Jack goes down. Do you remember that long path to the cottage in the woods, down to the widow's house?
With the 12 starving children.
12 starving children, indeed. That's
Aye.
the one. Well, Jack comes across the house, and there's the widow with her 12 starving children eating their favorite food, the last piece of food in their house, something I'm sure that you all love very much. They're eating a great big turnip. Don't you love turnips? Do you like turnips?
Ah.
No. Well, Jack, that's because you're good Irish. Jack loves turnips. It's a big, ugly thing. It's sort of like a pumpkin that didn't quite make it. So he's Irish Jack says, I'm going to go get me a turnip. And as the good people, the old widow and her children are saying their prayers with their eyes closed over their grace before their meals, in goes Jack and he steals the turnip and goes running outside saying, ha ha, I got your turnip. And he's munching and laughing, ha ha ha, munch, ha ha ha, until a piece of turnip sticks in his throat, and he falls down dead. It serves him right. Well, the next thing you know, there's Irish Jack, dead as can be at the gates of heaven, still clutching the turnip in his hand. And he knocks on the gate and says, all right, angels, let me in. I'm dead. You got to let me into heaven. Well, the angels come flying out and say, we've got to look in the book first. We've got to see if you've been a good boy. You think his name is in the good book? No. Is your name in the good book? No. Oh, I bet your name is. But Jack, they look at the book and they say, well, let's see, there's Jack Frost, there's Jack and his sister, and there's Jack Be Nimble and his brother. That's right, and there's Jumping Jack Flash, he's a gas. And praise be to God, there's Jack Daniels. It wouldn't be heaven without him now, would it? But there's no Irish Jack. He says, well then, I suppose I'll have to go down to, you know, a hot place. So down he goes and he knocks on the gates, and there comes the devil. And Jack says, all right, devil, you gotta let me in. And the devil says, but I'm not going to. Nah. Because I made a deal with you before not to take you when you died, and I'm not going to take you now that you're dead. Jack says, but you got to let me in. There got to be someplace. If I'm not in heaven and I'm not in the hot place, I'm going to roam all eternity with no place to rest. The devil says, I don't care. Be gone with you. And with that, he picks a big piece of rock out of the bottom of the hot place, and he throws it at Jack. And Jack, still clutching the turnip, catches the burning coal with his turnip. And the burning coal burns to the very core of the turnip. And where he had Jack had taken bites out of it, now we have two eyes with flames from a burning coal coming out of the eyes. And Jack still to this day can be seen roaming the earth with his turnip lantern. It's Jack's own lantern. It's Jack's own lantern. Now wait a minute. Jack's own lantern. What does that sound like to you? The jack-o'-lantern. And that's the true story of how the jack-o'-lantern was first born. And you know it's true because I told it to you and I'm an Irish storyteller. Nowadays we use pumpkins for the jack-o'-lanterns, and the reason is, if you've ever tasted turnip pie, you'll know why. We're better off with a pumpkin. But that's a true story, and I hope you enjoyed it. And before you go on your way, where you just might see some of these stories I just told you, look to life before your very eyes, I'd like to play for you a little bit of Irish blues on me pennies.